Hey, folks, welcome to episode 2 of the Author Spotlight series brought to you by Non-Fungible Book Club. I'm your host, Paul Tebow, and I'm really excited for this episode of the series. Last episode, we got a chance to meet with the founders of Non-Fungible Book Club to hear about what their platform is doing and also get a little preview of what we want to do with this Spotlight series, which is spotlight the authors launching their books through the platform. And this first author interview, I'm really looking forward to. It's with none other than a man by the name of Jason Rose. Really interesting person. A lot of stuff. Got to tell you, I have a lot in common with this guy. So I feel like this is going to be a really fun conversation. Without further ado, let's just get him in here and meet him. Jason, thank you for joining me here. Got a chance to read your book, and I'm excited for more people to get a chance to read it. But before we get into the book itself, love to give you a chance to introduce yourself and tell the people a little bit about yourself.
So, introduction, my name is Jason Rose. I live in Oakland, California. I'm 39 years old, and I wrote my first book, which I published last spring. March will be the 1 year anniversary of Journey Through Ascension, an astrological memoir. I'm actually originally from Massachusetts, which you are too, Seekonk, Massachusetts, right by Providence, Rhode Island, not probably like a 3 hour ride from New York. I lived there for a majority of my life. I went to college in Connecticut, Fairfield, Connecticut, at Sacred Heart University, where I got a degree in accounting. And from there, I just kept moving further west throughout my life. So from Connecticut, I ended up in New York City for several years. And then not too long after that, I ended up in Jersey City. And now here I am in the Bay Area in Oakland, California. And yeah, that's pretty much a summary of what I got going on.
Yeah, well, I gotta say, yeah, that part of Mass you're from is a lot nicer. The beach is a lot closer than what we got in my neck of the woods. But as we know, Massachusetts isn't. In about an hour, you can get to anywhere in the state. But it's very, very cool to read in the book and hear some of that, and you talking about different parts of the country you've been in, even some parts of the world, right? You touch on family in the
Yeah.
Caribbean, so very interesting to hear about your background. And I think people will really enjoy hearing that journey, but the book is called Journey Through Ascension. My first question: what drove you to want to write this book, right? What inspired you to write this first book that we're talking about today?
Long story short, I would say COVID-19 gave me the time to write this book because I did have a 9 to 5 while I was writing this, but with COVID, sort of, it kind of forced us all to stay inside and kind of eliminated a lot of distractions that would have normally kept me from writing a book. Um, the main trigger point that got me writing this book actually was a family emergency. So during COVID-19 in February of 2021, actually February 7th of 2021, surprisingly, my sister had a pretty severe stroke. Um, I was in California. She was in Rhode Island. At the time, I got a call at like 5 in the morning, I want to say. I was living with my then girlfriend at the time, now ex-girlfriend. But I had gotten a call while I was there at 5 in the morning, pretty much saying that she had been rushed to the hospital because she had a pretty severe stroke. And yeah, that kind of did something to me. It changed me. She's thankfully better now. That was 2021. It's now 2026. She's pretty much recovered, working again and all that, which is great. But yeah, during that time, probably like a month after that stroke, I was doing a lot of thinking, and I was doing a lot of thinking by myself because, as I mentioned, COVID-19 was going on. Just another caveat to her stroke, she was sort of by herself too because visitors weren't allowed in the hospital at the time due to COVID-19. So yeah, during that period of isolation, I just had a lot of thoughts going through my mind. A lot of thoughts that had to do with words like legacy, which I really didn't think about too much prior to that point. Um, what am I going to leave behind in this world? Because with her having her stroke, almost losing her life, it kind of got me thinking, like, did she do everything that she wanted to do? I just kind of got in that realm, that space. And once I got in that space, naturally for me, I started writing and it felt good. And so I started writing about how I was feeling about this sort of emergency I was dealing with, or well, mainly my sister was dealing with. And I read my words and I was like, oh, that's pretty beautiful. And I kind of surprised myself. At the same time, during COVID-19, I was also getting into more and more into astrology. I've always been a little bit into astrology, but during COVID, I got more into astrology, I'd say, just with all the noise going on in the world. I'm not a big news guy. I'm not a big, whatever you want to call it, current event. I wouldn't say current events, but just news, all that. It was just a lot of information coming into us at once. And I got into astrology through YouTube videos and stuff like that, and it kind of put me at peace. So as I was writing and getting into astrology, I knew that there was a way that I could sort of connect it to. And then naturally, it just sort of happened over time. So that's sort of the story of what got me into writing this book, my debut book, Journey Through Ascension, an astrological memoir.
And you just touched on a bunch of stuff in the title. I think the title is a really good one because it touches on a lot of the themes within your book.
Thanks.
And but before we get into the journey, think it would be good to get your perspective on the title itself. And you touch on ascension. And for people who aren't aware, or understand what ascension is, would love to hear your perspective on what does ascension mean to you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think when choosing the title for the book, I just wanted to incorporate the word growth in there. And of course, as a Libra, I can be a bit dramatic. So I think Ascension is a little bit of a dramatic name, but I think it works out well too. And so long story short, I would say to me, Ascension means growth. And to dive deeper into it, I think it means personal growth, growth that only you can relate to. Of course, a lot of people think of growth, they think of, you know, you showing up different and better than you were before in the eyes of others. But I think with the word ascension, it really focuses on that personal growth, growth that only you can see. And then eventually others will be able to see it, but specifically growth that you're doing to yourself, for yourself, and however that looks like to you.
You mentioned astrology, and that is also a huge aspect of your book. You touch on it in just about every chapter and every facet. You touch early on in the book about discovering a book at your Aunt Joan's house in the Caribbean and discovering, astrology and changing your perceptions about astrology. Would love to hear you talk a little bit about that experience. How did astrology become such an integral part of life for you?
Another great question. So for me, astrology is a great way for me to reflect on things that I've been through. Again, at that time, the family emergency, which occurred with my sister, I was doing a lot of reflecting. And then at the same time, as I said, I was sort of getting into astrology, which was I was not using it again to predict things that were going to happen, but I was using it in the sense of looking back on things that did happen and then being like, oh, that's a coincidence. Oh, that makes sense. So from there, I just I wanted to incorporate astrology in my book as a tool for reflection, a tool for me to sort of organize my creative thoughts. So it kind of organized the creative structure of the book. And going forward, when I write books in the future, I always want to keep some sort of astrological theme within the book. I want that to sort of be my niche. I want to use it as a creative structure to sort of organize my creativity and be able to reflect.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And, it might be part of the ADHD we
Yeah,
share,
yeah, yeah.
we do a lot of thinking after the fact, and,
Yes.
things start to make more sense as we look through a different lens, and realize it. Like I said earlier, there's a lot that I related to in this book, which I really appreciated. And I think in today's environment, you touched on a lot of things that are very relatable. And one of those things is struggles, and virtually every chapter touches on some sort of struggle. And it seems to me, as I listen to you and I read the book, it seems to be struggles are a big part of the growth process.
First, I'd say it comes down to, again, just the book being birthed from struggle in general, like I had mentioned before. Um, the reason I started writing the book was because of my family's struggles with dealing with the family emergency we had with my sister having a stroke at the age of 38. So that was a massive struggle in itself. And during that period, I mean, as I kept writing the book more and more, my sister kept getting better and better. Our spirits kept getting better and better too. So I think just in the back of my head, it was like, okay, once you hit that rock bottom, it's like how you react to that, how you interpret it. It's like it can either take you out that rock bottom, or you could see it as, okay, this is the bottom. So you know what that means. Where else can you go from there? You can only go up from there. And I really sort of honed in on that, and that feeling of sort of, okay, if this is as bad as it can get, that means eventually things are going to get better, day by day, which I saw my sister getting better day by day. I saw us as a collective getting better day by day with the whole COVID-19 thing. Things started getting better with that eventually. I guess more as we got towards like 2022 or so. I just sort of grew a certain appreciation for struggle. And if you can just sort of embrace struggle, you should see struggle as an opportunity to get better, just the benefits of that. And I just want to stand on top of a mountain and tell the world of that too. So that's sort of where it came from.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I couldn't agree with you more, as someone who's tried to embrace seeing challenges as an opportunity. I think it eliminates this feeling of I'm a victim, right?
Yep.
And I think we can tend to see a lot of people take that route. Maybe at times we take it ourselves, right?
Yep.
It's not always easy to see it through that prism, but that's I think what makes it so valuable.
Wherever you stand in your life, whether you feel like you're in a period where maybe you're focusing on others too much and you're maybe in that people pleaser category, I think then your growth may come from focusing on yourself, actually. And I think that's sort of where I was at in writing that book. Through my 20s, I was in few relationships with a couple girls or whatever, and the focus was on sort of on them. Family is a big part of my life. Focus has always been on family. So with me, I feel like I was in a point where the focus had to get put in on myself a little more. And that's sort of where this book sort of came from. But focusing on myself in a way where if I could focus on myself, I feel like it could help other people in that way. And then I feel like, of course, there's other people who may be in a period where maybe their whole life they're looking back and they're saying, oh, I've just been focusing on myself this whole time. Maybe their journey through ascension needs to, the focus needs to be more on others rather than themselves. And then through focusing on others, they'll find joy in themselves, actually. So it's always a yin and yang relationship, and everyone's unique. And I think when I wrote this book, I was at a point where I needed to focus on myself a little bit. Of course, during that tragedy, I was focused on the tragedy happening and with my sister and everything. But in terms of dealing with that, I needed to really hone in. And that's when writing came in. And yeah, I was super locked in during that time. And it's just crazy to think about. I don't know if I can ever get that locked in again, but I'm hoping to with my next book.
Hey, I mean that's the thing, is you never know what the future holds. We talked a little bit about some of the questions I was going to ask you. I've got one here that I didn't prep you for. And it's actually more focused on a specific quote from this book.
Okay.
I like to find a quote from a book that I feel really embodies what the book's all about. And there was one that stood out to me in the let's see, Dreams of the Past,
Yep.
the chapter.
Yep.
I'm gonna read it word for. I got it on my little tablet here because I wanted to make sure I got it right.
Nice.
Um, you were discussing the great philosophers, and you were talking about the Greeks, and some of the great thinkers of that time. I'm not sure who it was at Quote Bum, but you said the best way to speak from the heart is by telling a powerful story from your life. To speak with deep emotional and spiritual confidence. When you speak from the heart, you let others see a piece of your soul. And I thought that really embodied this book for me because I felt like this was your attempt at doing that. After hearing me read that quote, thinking back upon it, would you say that that quote might be part of what pushed you to do what you've done here with your book?
Yeah, I would say that quote definitely lit a fire under me for sure. Just sort of speaking from the heart, I feel like that's what I was doing to write this book. It was, again, a product of almost a near tragedy. So naturally, I was speaking from the heart to get this book out there in the first place. And funny enough, that quote is related to, I want to say, Ronald Reagan, which it's a quote about roses, actually. So again, it kind of came from me I found that quote too from doing a little research about things that sort of happened around the time I was born. So in 1980, it's September of 1986, September 23rd to be specific, which is my birthday. Ronald Reagan, he sort of decided that the US's national flower was going to be the rose. And that was sort of something he had mentioned in the speech, and then I kind of interpreted it my way. And yeah, that quote honestly lit a fire under me, and kind of it was confirmation for me that I was on the right path too. And out of all people too, Ronald Reagan, I know he's got a bad reputation within my community and everything, but that was definitely a bar on his part. So it did its thing, and sort of it was a quote of confirmation, and then it was a quote that really, okay, I think I'm onto something here. And I kind of fell in love with what I was doing too from that quote too. So just another wonderful like synchronicity, coincidence, whatever you want to call it, that happened during writing, which is just a whole nother rabbit hole as an author too. Just all the things that sort of when you're writing, I don't know if you're just more honed in and paying attention more in life and looking for more things to write about through things that happen in your life, but you just sort of notice sort of weird coincidences like during your journey of writing your book and everything. And that was definitely one of them.
Oh, it breaks my heart that we don't have more time to talk about all these things. I feel like we could start our whole series of just me and you going down each one of these talking points,
I agree.
because there's so much here, and I really appreciate you taking the time to join me here. And as we get ready to wrap it up, you're one of the first authors to be launching your audiobook with Non-Fungible Book Club. And I'm just curious, as we focus on these guys, and shout out to David, Darren, and Aaron. Appreciate you guys. As you think about it, how's this process been of dealing with this team as compared to maybe what you're aware of in the book realm, right? When you think about how things are normally done, maybe what you're aware of, what's your experience been like joining this platform, this community, and uh, launching your book through NFBC?
One word, amazing. I mean, compared to other publishing platforms that I've dealt with, just completely what's the word I'm looking for? I'd say like predatory. I'd say they not looking to exploit authors. Yeah, as a new author, I just wanted to get my work out there. And again, I said, I'm an accountant as my 9 to 5. I don't really know a lot about the publishing industry. I'm new to it. All I know is I made something that I loved. I made something that came from the heart, and I just wanted to get it out there to the world, and whatever that looked like. So, yeah, finding a publisher at first, a paperback, hardcover ebook publisher was not the greatest experience. I really didn't know where to start. I mean, I was sending out queries, I was sending out emails. I had my site set up with my first chapter already on, so I gave that out for free. And another topic we can talk about is the paranoia you face as an author too, where you think your ideas are getting stolen, and we can go down a whole rabbit hole. But that's another topic for another day. But compared to other experiences that I've had within the industry, NFBC, I mean, it was like heaven sent almost. It was just automatically clicked with the guys there. I met Darren and Aaron first, and I met Aaron first, and then eventually Darren. First of all, both in the Bay Area. So that was just a win in itself. I feel like just from other ventures I've been in the past, it always helps to have the people you're dealing with within the area. For me personally, so that added a level of comfort with dealing with them, especially with them being a new business. But yeah, just looking after your experience too, I wouldn't deter anyone from dealing with NFBC, of course, if they're not in the area too, because those guys completely pass the vibe check. Just they are authors. They are not authors. I'm sorry. They are creatives. They're both in the gaming industry as designers, and they truly care about the authors that they want to put on this platform. They know that the industry doesn't have to be set up the way it is right now. It could be more favorable for authors. There's no reason that it shouldn't be more favorable for authors. And then on top of Darren and Aaron, eventually I met David or Critter eventually. And again, he just again, another person, one in the same of all of us, just another creative, someone who cares for other creatives. We're all around that same age bracket. We've seen our whole lives, we've just seen people in the world get taken advantage of for money. We are in the absolute thick of capitalism. We've just seen horrible things happen because of money. I mean, we were born into horrible things in the 80s because of money. Was it, AIDS going on, cocaine going on, wars going on, war on drugs going on, all that. So we've seen it. I think we've had enough of it. I've had enough of it. I just want to put out great work, and that's all I want to do. I don't want to be taken advantage of. I just want to put out great work. I want to be treated fairly, and that's what I feel like NFBC does. And they did a great job of sort of conveying that to me. And now that we got this thing going, they're staying true to their word, and it's just a beautiful thing. So nothing but great things to say about those guys.
Oh, and I know they share the same sentiment. I know those guys very well, obviously,
Yeah.
and everyone in the community that you've gotten a chance to meet through NFBC and the X spaces, where we actually have a space hosted by community members who share readings of these books, and they went through and shared your book, and you were able to join and talk with the community and see the feedback. It's beautiful seeing a platform created that offers a new opportunity, and to see authors like yourself who are embracing it. It's a really heartening thing to see, and love hearing about the book, love reading the book and listening to it. Really happy that people are going to get a chance to check it out. Like I said, there's so many things we could talk about. We can't get into it. So you know what that means? You're going to have to write another book so you can come back and we can keep talking, because we got to talk more about all these things. You said you're interested. Any idea of, maybe what that second book might look like? Have you thought about it? Have you gotten started on it? Where are we at in that journey?
Yeah, absolutely, man. This week I shouldn't say finally, I just finished chapter 1 of my new book. So I'm getting back in that writing mode. Feels awesome to get back into it too. The past couple of years, I finished the book a couple of years ago, Journey Through Ascension. So I've just sort of been in sort of marketing mode. I've been in trying to discover a publisher mode, all that stuff we as creatives we don't like so much, but thankfully I was able to meet you guys at NFBC and sort of switch my perspective on that side of the industry. So in good hands now, and starting the second book. The only hint I'll give is it's gonna have a Harlem Renaissance theme to it, which I'm really excited to. I'm super, again, crazy coincidence happened due to even get me into that mode, which I'm really excited to talk about once I get some more chapters in. But yeah, I started writing and I'm super excited. And my promise is that all my books will have a sort of astrological theme to them too. So I'm sort of, yeah, I know how I'm going to weave it into this book now. I have the idea. I have chapter 1 down. Now it's a matter of getting it done. And again, the ADHD, it sort of prompted me into another idea. I sort of wanted to get a sort of writer's retreat going on with people in the area. So I'm hoping to get to North Cal this winter and sort of get a group of people together and get a writer's retreat going. And from that idea, I sort of went down a rabbit hole of vibe coding. And it's kind of led me to a product that I think is going to help writers that are interested in writing astrologically, being inspired from astrology enough to get some writing prompts from it and stuff like that. So definitely more to come with that as well. So super excited for what's coming out.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like I said, folks, interesting man over here, Mr. Jason Rose. Well, Jason, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us and get this spotlight series really kicked off. You know, like I said, we got a chance to meet the guys episode 1, but couldn't have thought of a better first interview with these authors. And real pleasure to have you here, man. Looking forward to having you back when you get that second book written, and maybe even doing a revisit just to have a little fun. Who knows? But again, thank you. Want to give you a chance as we wrap this interview up to give your final thoughts. You know, anything else we haven't touched on you wanted to let the people know about, anything you wanted to say. Would love to hear it as we wrap up episode 2 of this Spotlight series.
Yeah, thanks. Again, just super grateful for this opportunity. Super grateful to be the first non-public domain book on the Non-Fungible book club. I'm extremely honored by that. Again, I wrote this book thinking about legacy, and I just feel like I'm sort of getting aligned with that right now. And NFBC sort of had a major part with getting me to this point that I'm at right now, and I'm super grateful for you guys. Again, check out the book, check out the audiobook, get the paperback version, get the audiobook version, get the Kindle version if you want. Super proud of my work that I was able to put together. And I'm hoping that more and more people can sort of read and give their opinions on it and hopefully get inspired to start on their journey. So again, thanks for having me. Amazing show, amazing idea with this author spotlight, and NFBC definitely picked the perfect host too. So this was great, Paulie.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you again. Look forward to talking soon. Everybody go to www.nfbclub.com. You can get Jason's book, Journey Through Ascension, right now. Very inexpensive. As we talked about in episode 1, NFBC is offering an opportunity for these authors to get more back for their work. And give the user more control over their assets. So look forward to seeing that book get scooped up by a ton of people, Jason. I think a lot of people will really relate to it, and looking forward to seeing those books fly off the proverbial shelves, as they say. But thanks, man. I appreciate you. Look forward to talking again soon, my man.
Yeah. Take care, Paulie. Appreciate you.
All right, fellas. And ladies, of course, that is Jason Rose. Again, appreciate him so much for joining me here for episode 2. Really enjoyed this book. I'm sure a lot of you would as well. It's always nice hearing perspective of somebody who's lived a really interesting life. I'm not giving you all the details of what he talked about. You got to go to the book and hear it. But a lot of interesting things happened. Did a lot of cool stuff. Thank you guys so much for joining me here for episode 2. Looking forward to episode 3. Not giving you any names of who it's going to be yet. You're just going to have to tune in and find out. But thanks again. Thank you to everyone at NFBC. David, Darren, and Aaron, appreciate you guys. Look forward to seeing you guys here back at the Author Spotlight Series, brought to you by the Non-Fungible Book Club, where we give the authors a chance to tell the story behind the story. Thanks, guys. We'll see you later. Head on over to www.nfbclub.com and get a copy of today's author's audiobook, as well as many other titles at Non-Fungible Book Club.